Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Today, for another Savva and Someone Discusses, I have joined with Deji. It's been a long time we've been talking about streaming together. We've got very different views, but here we are, Deji. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yeah, no, cheers, Savva. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I'm doing well, thanks. Things seem to be looking up, but yeah, I think it's been a long time waiting for us to kind of get together and have an opportunity to kind of chop it up about our club uninterrupted. So yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
No, always, man, always. I do find it funny. First of all, you look like an angel. The way the
Yeah,
light is just shining on you, it looks magnificent, like you've joined us from another planet. But look, I do find it interesting because at the end of the day, we are all just Tottenham Hotspur fans, and I get so many people come in my chat, and I can see in the chat going, "Oh my god, have you seen what Deji said? Deji's a proper fan. Oh my god, have you seen what Deji said? I hate Deji's opinion." And I sit there and I think to myself, Jesus, if they're saying that about Deji, who is really, really positive about the club, I can only imagine what's being said about me. Look, let's get into it, Deji. I mean, look, I said to you, what do you want the topic to be? You said to me, look, 5 wins in 5. Have Spurs turned a corner? So let me start with that with you. When we say turn the corner, what does that mean to you as a fan? It's an easy statement to chuck out there, right?
yeah.
What does it mean to you in the bigger picture?
Yeah, I mean, when I sent you the topic for conversation, I didn't flinch. I sent it to you within 2 seconds of you asking me. Turn the corner means, have we turned the corner? Is now our Tottenham going to go on a run? Are we now seeing, maybe some of the kind of earlier, derailment or mishaps, or not clicking? Has it clicked for the team? Are we going to go on a bit of a run where we start to win games and do what we need to do and achieve what the club can potentially achieve this season? I only asked the question because whether we like it or not, 5 wins is still 5 wins, even if you say it quick. Do you know what I'm saying? It's impressive by anyone's metrics, and you know what I mean. So, and that's why I thought it would be good to discuss that today. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. And listen, I make you right. I keep saying to people, look, I can't ever be disingenuous. And what I mean by that is I can't sit here as a fan. We had a debate the other week. I can't sit here as a fan and say, I want consistency. Then when we start to get it, I can't then move the goalposts and go, but. This is what I wanted. Now, what I have seen, and I'm sure you're seeing it a lot, is lots of people will go, oh, but we should be beating those 5 teams. And on one hand, they're correct. We should be beating those 5 teams. But this is a club that haven't won, I believe we haven't won more than 2 games in a row since, if I'm not wrong, I think it was February or the end of January.
Yeah.
So to rack up 5 in 3 different competitions, yes, we should be beating them. But isn't that how consistency is born? Isn't that how confidence is bred into teams?
Yeah, I 100%. At the end of the day, it's the classic old saying: you can only beat what's in front of you. But like you rightly say, the main reason for why those wins are important is because you want momentum. You want to build up that momentum, because what the momentum does is it breeds confidence. It breeds an understanding amongst the players, so that when they do get to play the big boys, as it were, in inverted commas, then they have an understanding amongst the team that goes on and they can put on a good performance. There's nothing worse than having a team that doesn't understand themselves. And we saw it in the Coventry game. He made about 8 or 9 changes, and no one knew their left from their right. What you want is the more time they have an opportunity to play, they have the understanding, the more confidence they have, the more likely is that we can get a more positive result. So yeah, 5 wins from 5. I don't even care. Sometimes the opposition, it doesn't matter. And I agree. On one hand, we expect to beat all of those teams, including who I'm now deeming as Manchester Piccadilly United. But at the same time, we could have easily lost. Brentford is not. It can be a dodgy team on their day. We saw them the week before against Man City, and whether we like it or not, United, Manchester Piccadilly, don't be surprised if they turn on a performance this weekend against Villa, and then it makes it even more impressive. Do you get what I'm saying? So we can only.
Well, hang on. Spurs tried to get Ten Hag sacked. We didn't manage it. Porto last night, they've tried to get Ten Hag sacked. At the moment, I haven't seen he's been sacked. Now I've seen Aston Villa fans this morning ringing up TalkSport saying, "Don't worry, we'll get him." It's absolute madness. You're right. Look, at the end of the day, all I've ever wanted to see is consistency. And whether that means I have to turn around at the end of the season and go, you know what, God, I got this absolutely wrong about Postecoglou and certain players. Listen, I'm old, I'm ugly, I'm happy to do that, right? I can do that.
Yeah.
For me, listen, I'm probably still on that cautious side of, okay, let's see what happens. We've got a tough game against Brighton, followed by a bloody international break, which I really hate. I hate the international games now. And then we come back with a home game against a West Ham team that I would say they're out of form. They've not been in any form this season. So it's a really good chance for us to kick on now. Yeah. Where I err on the side of caution, Deji, is I've seen this before. We've seen this when we've had runs like this under a Harry Redknapp. We've had runs like this under a Jose, under a Conte, under a Pochettino. I guess for me, when a lot of the fans are going at each other about it's different this time and, you just believe, I always struggle in my own head with, okay, but what's the end destination? So as a fan, when people say just believe and we've turned a corner, for what is the key word to me? What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Well, I think Postecoglou's been quite clear. I think the difference with the previous managers is that the previous managers have told you they're aiming for top 4 or whatever. Postecoglou's been clear to say, I'm aiming to win. And what he means by winning, is it a little bit like, I see a similarity between my style, the way I talk, and I know a lot of people think I'm delusional, and there's a lot of Spurs fans who don't like me because maybe, like you said, I'm a bit too positive. But Postecoglou hasn't written off the league this season. Yeah, and his approach is aim high and then see where you drop. And that's my approach to life. If you aim for number 1 and you finish 2nd or 3rd, it's still all right, but you got to aim high rather than aiming 4th and then finishing 7th. I guess that's his philosophy. So in terms of us turning the corner, him pushing us on, I think for me, we just got to... Sorry, Savva, I've just kind of forgotten my train of thought. What was the question again? Sorry, I forgot my train of thought. There's apologies. Sorry, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, you were talking about... the kind of the end goal, what Ange Postecoglou thinks is best versus fans and stuff like that. Yeah,
look, the end goal for Postecoglou, if he's given the time, is he wants to win the league. I know you probably heard me say it. I think if he does, if he has the time and the trajectory, I've predicted, because I love my predictions, 27-28, he could win a big trophy. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I'm using Arsenal. People don't like me doing it, but if it's good enough for them, then it's good enough for me. Yeah, Arteta has been given 5 years. You've seen progress with Arsenal. I have seen, whether we like it or not, we have progressed from where we were. That is, we finished 5th last season as opposed to 8th the previous season. So that is progression. And we need to see whether we are going to kick on this season. The hope is we get Champions League football and we're in the top 4. If we're in the top 4 this season, whether we like it or not, whether we win a trophy or not, it is progress. And then we can start to look at season 3, season 4, season 5, where we are now demanding an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, a Europa Cup, or whatever. But with the main aim of Spurs being a team that is challenging for top honours in the next 5 years. And that's why they brought in all the young players. That's why I'm so excited. Yeah,
let me spin it then. So listen, I by the way, I don't disagree with anything you said there. Categorically, finishing in the top 4 this season is progression and is going in the right direction. Yeah. So one thing that gets leveled at me a lot is whatever I say, I get told, oh, you want instant success. And the one thing you'll notice about me, Deji, is no one will ever hear me on a stream saying, we have to win the league. Yeah. We have to win the cup. You'll never hear me saying it because, one, I know it's not that simple. And 2, I don't think that for a club like Tottenham, the only measure of success can be winning a league title. I think there's so many better clubs at the moment than us.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this though. So if we're going to measure that success, the barometer of success is, okay, he's gone from 8th to 5th. Anything above 5th is...
That's progression, definitely. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Progression. Let's use the word progression.
Yeah.
I'll flip it to you this way. If Tottenham this season finish lower than they did last season and don't win a trophy, just hypothetically, we all hope that I'm wrong here. If we finish 6th or 7th, as I predicted, and we don't win a cup, is that regression?
Yes, 100%. It's regression because for me, any manager that comes in, you have to improve on the season before. Postecoglou knows he has to improve. And that's why I look at the Manchester Piccadilly fans who were shaking their bum violently for the FA Cup last season, because though they got a trophy, they regressed. They finished 3rd the season before and then they fell down. I don't know where, I can't even remember where United finished last season. And it looks like with the way that things are going, it could also be very worse. Postecoglou has to finish higher than he did last season. That's progress. And we look at Aston Villa as an example. You and I got them, was it 5th the season before, something like that? And then they've moved up to top 4 last season. Progression. The only thing I would accept, though, is in the unlikely event that Spurs finish that low, and let's say 8th, then he has to win the Europa League. Only on that basis. Because what I'm saying is, at the end of this season, Tottenham must play Champions League football. Personally, I don't give a damn how we get there, but we must be playing Champions League football.
I completely agree with you. Look, the thing is, I suppose we're slightly different. I predicted 7th at the beginning of the season, and I know lots of people will see that as negative. Let me just give you some reasons why I thought it would be 7th, okay? First of all, it's not that, oh my God, I hate Ange Postecoglou. First of all, there's nothing personal there. Yeah. I have lots of concerns about his style of play when it doesn't work. It's like anything in life. When it works, anything in life is brilliant, right? When it doesn't work, I worry because we look fragile. Now, okay, the last 5 games, people say, oh, well, it's fine. I saw yesterday things like in-game management, when you're 2-0 up and cruising, but still trying to fly forward and leaving gaps. That's just me, right?
Yeah.
But if we look at the season as a whole, I'm somebody that I don't look at, oh, let's look at 2-3 games and go, oh my God, it's amazing, or oh my God, it's shit.
Yeah.
For me, I'm looking at this and going, this is a bloody long season with a lot of games of football, touch wood. I fully expect Tottenham to get out of that Europa League stage unscathed. I fully expect, all right, we might drop a game. We might lose a Galatasaray or a Roma. Fine. Yeah. I still fully expect us to be top 8. But what that does is the more games you play in Europa, the more games you play in the FA Cup, the League Cup, I think that's when you start to see how good is a manager and how good is a squad. Yeah. How tired the players are going to get playing. Our style is draining. It's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Injuries, suspensions, form, cup competitions, travel. So for me, that's why when people are losing their minds at me now, going, you're in the mud, whatever this in the mud phrase means. You're in the mud. I always try to remind people it's October the 4th. Last October, I was hearing the same things and it kind of went like that.
Yeah.
So I get why people go crazy, but that's why I've predicted 7th. Conceded I'll probably be closer to 6th than 7th. But do you see where I'm coming from in terms of squad depth, injuries, suspension?
I see where you're coming from, and I think you're 100% spot on. The only thing I would say is, if we were to finish 7th, that means Postecoglou has failed this season, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean?
If he doesn't win the trophy, right?
Yeah, if he doesn't win a Europa League, it would be a poor season by his own standards. I have Spurs to finish 3rd, and I explain why.
Right.
I had Spurs to finish 3rd, and I'm going to stick with that prediction.
Okay.
For me, like you said, it's a long season. I feel like Liverpool have been untested. I think Arne Slot, once he did it in the Nottingham Forest game, and I think we will see what Liverpool are like when they play up against some of the bigger teams. I don't know if Arne Slot has the minerals to take Liverpool over the line. They've got a fantastic squad. I'm not suggesting that Spurs have a better squad than Liverpool. Yeah. But I am suggesting that Postecoglou maybe a better manager than Slot, and time will be.
Oh.
We have to see with time. But what I will say though, that Postecoglou is doing different. So one of the things I haven't liked is people criticize Postecoglou. He plays the same system. He does the same thing. Well, this season we have seen a lot of changes. To be fair, one of the main changes is, let's be real, the obvious one: Kulusevski no longer being out on the wing.
Yeah,
playing
and I love that.
8. I think that's a revelation. We've got the wing backs. I think in the last couple of games, playing a lot wider and not all the time doing that inverted thing. That's a revelation, because at one point earlier in the season, it did look like a straight line and it was congested like the M25. Do you know what I mean? So that's an improvement. But the other thing that I've loved, whether we like it or not, he's talked about managing players. One of the reasons why our season pitted out, let's be real, was we lost Maddison when he was on form for a long period of time, and we lost Van de Ven. They are two crucial players to our system. And what delighted me about the lineup yesterday is that Madders didn't start. Solanke didn't start. You know, and he's talking about the fact that he's overplayed Son. So what he wants to do is he wants to rely on our squad more. Now, you may look at our squad and look at the names and say, well, that doesn't scare anyone. But at the end of the day, Mikey Moore is going to need some time to play some football. He needs to be given some game time. Under Conte, we wouldn't even know Mikey Moore. Jed Spence needs to get some game time. At some point, we're going to need to rely on all of these players. So the fact that, so I actually think the European games are doing us more justice than not, if that makes sense. Because last season, we only had the Prem to focus on, so we couldn't bring in all these other players. Now with the regular games, and you heard it from Maddis, he prefers midweek, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, because then that's how you build
continuity, right?
So that's why I think if we can keep on this momentum, Spurs, we could surprise a lot of people. And also the way we've played our games, we've dominated everyone we've played so far, just to say.
Do you know what, Deji? This is the crazy thing, right? Whether or not I agree with everything you've just said, I hope everything you've just said is right. And this is where I think people get confused about football fans and their opinions. I don't sit at the start of the season and go, okay, I think my club will finish there. I really hope I'm right. I really want to be 7th. Please win just enough games, but lose loads of games so we finish 7th. That's not it. I'm allowed, we're allowed to give opinions, right?
Yeah,
you're allowed to say 3rd. I think that's crazy. You think 7th is probably crazy. Knowing us, we'll probably meet in the middle, and Spurs will probably end up finishing 5th, right?
Yeah.
But I hope you're right. I think the key thing that's going to be for me is, whilst playing the Ferencvaros, the Karabags, I think you're right. I think it's cool. We're going to rely on these players. At the moment, it's untested, it's untried, it's unproven as to whether or not, when we're playing every Thursday and suddenly you're playing in knockout games, suddenly you're playing clubs that are a lot better than Ferencvaros, that are a lot better than Karabag, a lot better than Coventry, and suddenly, can we put a Bergvall in for that game? God, can Gray play at fullback? Lancashire can't league it. That's where I want to see.
But they need time to do that, though. They need time, because what I wouldn't want is for them to come in cold. Do you know what I mean?
No, of course. But that's going to be the question for me, is when you start playing the bigger teams, we've seen it down the years with so many clubs. They start off in the early rounds of whether it's Europe or the League Cup or the FA Cup playing kids, right? Playing B team players, for lack of a better term. Then when they get to the tougher rounds, you start seeing, that goalkeeper who only ever plays once every 3 months, suddenly he's not playing. Suddenly my best goalkeeper's playing. Suddenly my best forward's playing. That's what I want to see. That's where I think we're going to see, 1, how good is the squad? Yeah. 2, what is the depth actually like when we play proper teams? And no disrespect to those clubs. And C, we're going to see how good the transfer window was. Because my biggest criticism of all summer was the fact I truly believed I've got nothing wrong with bringing in kids. I think when I talk about this, people get me completely wrong. I've got no problem with you bringing in Bergvall, Gray, Yang, whoever, right? Odegaard. For me, I just think if he had added 3, and when I say he, this could be Levy, Lang, or Postecoglou, a mixture of all. If they had added 3 senior pros that can rotate in and out of some of these European games to play alongside some of the kids as well, and that could act as backup when Matters is injured or Van der Ven's injured, I just think we'd be sitting so much more healthy. And my actual opinion would have been fourth. But I was really disappointed when we got to the end of the window and it was like, oh, right, we've only gone for kids. That's why I just don't think we're going to be quite ready this year for what you're saying. But again, I hope that we can do this show in May and you can have a sign saying, I told you so. I'm all for it.
No, look, at the end of the day, you know, whatever side of the fence we sit on in terms of our opinion, the one thing that we have in common is that we want the best for our club. Do you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I think the thing that I totally agree with you on. Look, I would have loved to have seen 3 quality players come in, you know, an Eze type player, maybe someone at the back, cover for Udogie or Van der Ven. Do you know what I mean? That makes sense. But that doesn't mean to say that we're not going to go and do business in Jan. This is a team. Can this team hold us out till December? Maybe. As long as we don't get any major injuries between now and December, can this team do a job? I don't see why not. I don't see why we can't be in the top half of the table, top 4 by Christmas. I think the other thing that's happened is football, you get the unknowns, the injuries. We know injuries are going to happen, but sometimes you don't expect them to happen so quick. We weren't expecting Richarlison to be out. Postecoglou's talked about the fact that he wanted to be rotating Solanke and Richarlison, or even Richarlison being on the left-hand side. Odegaard, I think, is not a bad player. In fact, I did like what I was seeing of him before he got injured. He can do something. Sometimes what you saw with Mikey Moore, you just want a bit of common sense. Do you know what I mean? You just want them to do the right things. That's the reason why the fan base is so pissed with Werner. He's just not playing like a footballer. He's on the pitch, but he's not doing what we need him to do. So I, as a squad, when I look at our squad, and if you look at the midfield now, for example, Savva, we start Madders, Cooley, Bentancur. It's not a bad bench when you look at Pape Sarr. I know he's not fantastic, but he's all right to bring on. You got Basuma, he's not that bad to bring on. You got Odegaard when he's back. You got a Richarlison when he's back. And that's why when I was saying to people, I think Tottenham's bench is better than Arsenal's bench, I didn't start, you know, and Bergvall needs more game time, but you can see there's a quality player there. It's just lacking a little bit of confidence, you know, so I don't think the squad is that bad. I just think the squad, like you said, is probably more an unknown.
Yeah, that's it for me.
It might come good. Yeah,
that's absolutely it for me. Listen, look, where I struggle with, when we talk about younger players, I think the problem is we get, not Spurs fans, I think all football fans see a teenager playing for their club and we all lose our minds. Oh my God, this player's brilliant. Oh my God, he could do what Bale did and what Kane did and what Saka did for Arsenal, and he can do what Gerrard did for Liverpool. But we know it doesn't work like that. And I think people get frustrated with me because they want me to turn around and go, oh my God, Bergvall and Gray are superb. I'm a show me guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm a
100%.
All right, don't talk to me about how good they are. Don't show me little clips. Prove to me over a number of games. Show me that the manager thinks that you're that good, that the manager's gone, you're playing in the Premier League in a big game. Right? Mikey Moore, for me, I think is the one thing at the moment that I think all Spurs fans can agree on. Like, I think Mikey Moore is the one where we're all looking and going, this kid's got it. I don't know what it is, but he's got it. He effortlessly glides around the pitch. He doesn't look like a player that is 17, you know, nervous. He's just getting on the ball. He's doing his thing. I think that's the player that I think unites all of the fan base, whether we have different opinions. Look, Deji, I think for me, have Spurs, let's break it back. Have Spurs turn the corner. I think, you know, I said 2 weeks ago, I said, look, for me, I want to start with the Man United game. And I want to go right the way through to the Man City game. Right? The 2 Manchesters as the doorstops. That's 7 league games. And that would take us to the end of November. For me, in that space, you've got Man United, Man City, Aston Villa, West Ham, Brighton, and then Ipswich, which should be
Ipswich and
should be a home banker, right? I've turned around and said to everyone, if at the end of those 7 games, Spurs have won 4 or 5, drawn 1 or 2 and lost 1, I turn around and go, you know what? I've got nothing to say about my manager. Crack on, do your thing. I'm wrong. You do what you've got to do. At the moment, yeah, Man United, tick. Now we go to Brighton. Then you've got West Ham, who notoriously turn up to play against us. Now you've got Villa. All of a sudden, we win all those games. I turn around as a fan and go, do you know what? Absolutely, Postecoglou's proved me wrong. He can do the things that I wanted him to do. He can do the things I said he couldn't. And you know what? Crack on. I just think people have gone a little bit too early because of the basis of the teams we've played.
I mean, you were probably more kinder than me, Savva, because I actually gave Postecoglou the last 3 games. After the Arsenal game, I was in bits. I'm not going to lie to you. I was absolutely fuming. And I said, if we don't win the next 3 games, I would be out. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Deji, how can you say this? You said you love him and give him time. Yes, I do love him, and I do want to give him time. But those 3 games were crucial. Because for me, if you can't beat these 3 dusty teams, then that means there's a problem. I don't care what you do afterwards. He's done that. He's got the result. We set the challenge. He's passed that the first challenge.
Agreed.
This next 4 games for me is the next big challenge, because the next 4 games is Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa. If we, and like you said, if we get 3 wins from that, I don't see why we can't get 4 wins. You know me, Mr. Positive.
Yeah, sure.
Points. But if we can get 3 wins out of that as a minimum, then legitimately we've turned the corner. Whatever happens against Man City, in my opinion, and we got to give him time. You know, at the end of the day, the Premier League is the toughest league in the world. Man City have been under Pep, 8-9 years? You know, they've had time to really understand and embed the system. The one thing you can say about our team is he talked about laying the foundation. The foundation has been laid with the players that were with him last season. You can see there's an understanding with players coming in, and it might not be as convincing, but there is an understanding of our style of play. And we need to get that understanding of our style of play embedded in the likes of Solanke, embedded into Bergwijn. Because I think Solanke's been great, but he's actually been feeding on scraps, for example. He's not actually been given any decent.
I think this formation, it doesn't, the forward isn't the focal point of the team. No. And I think what Solanke's been doing, listen, do I think Solanke's a brilliant footballer? No, I don't think he's a brilliant footballer. Do I think he's effective? Yes, I think he can be. Is he always in the right place at the right time, which a striker needs to be? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I think we need to find a way to get him a bit more involved in games rather than, and I'm not knocking this, but rather than just getting tap-ins, do we need to get him some chances where you go, you know, those kind of half chances that a Jermaine Defoe would have.
Yeah.
You know, where he's on the edge of the box, one touch at his feet. I want to see us getting Solanke into those areas. But look, I agree with you. Listen, I'm not somebody, I think you've seen me stream long enough to know, I'm not someone that's going to go after 4 or 5 games of football and go, oh my God, we're winning leagues. This is amazing. But as I said at the beginning, I can't sit there as a football fan and say, oh, please stop inverting the fullbacks as much. Then when he does, complain about it. I can't. He has stopped inverting as much so far. I can't say, and I've always said, I don't rate Kulu on the right wing. I've never rated him out there. The Kulu I'm seeing in the middle, does he frustrate me at times? Yeah. So do so many top players frustrate me at times. He looks so much better in there. The understanding he's building with Maddison. Funnily enough, since the fullbacks have stopped inverting, James Maddison suddenly looks like the player we know, because James Maddison's not got 5 players on his toes. So for me, these little tweaks that Postecoglou's done, brilliant. Praise, absolute praise for that. I'd be really disingenuous to say otherwise. Have I said Ange out before? Yeah, maybe is some of it in the moment of I'm just so fed up with what's going on. Sure, but I'm old, I'm ugly. I will own that, Deji.
That's fair play.
But I'm happy to pivot my opinion. But what I'm not happy to do is pivot my opinion based on the caliber we've played. I'm not knocking it. You've got to beat them. But let's have this chat.
But the only thing I would say is I think that, and you've probably heard this saying, and if you haven't, this will be the first time. I feel like we have been doing domination in the Lord Kirsten, but we lack penetration.
I've never heard that on the internet before.
So that's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing that we've been doing. Look, if you look at the Newcastle game and the Arsenal game, we outplayed them. Yeah, we outplayed Newcastle. We were unlucky. It was a lapse in concentration. For me, it was a lapse in defensive. Yeah.
Newcastle, I'll give you, we did. Arsenal, for me, I think there's a huge difference between outplaying them and their game plan working to an absolute treat. I think they.
Well, I would argue that if Gabriel doesn't score the header, it's a draw. Now, Arsenal fans have told me, we knew we would have scored at some point. But when you really look at the game as a whole, I'm like, well, there was no other real chance, really. I don't even count the Martinelli chance. Yeah,
but they did score the header, right? They
did. No, I get that. But what's happening is that it's because we weren't finishing our dinner that you highlight the opportunities that these guys take. But now that we're starting to finish off our dinner, it doesn't. We're going to concede. That's the thing. We're not going to have clean sheets. We know that about our system. Postecoglou is fine with that. The issue is we just got to make sure we bloody score. You know, and once we start scoring, the odd Gabriel goal doesn't matter because you're 3-1 up at that stage. You know what I'm saying? And that's his style, and that's the style that I think we as a fan base need to understand.
But can I tell you where I'm at with that? Listen, I completely get it. I get that people are saying we dominated. I've definitely seen your domination in the location thing. It's all over the internet, mate. You're a sensation. You're a legend.
Stop it.
The thing for me is when we've come up against Newcastle and Arsenal, these are two teams that have very well organised defences. We saw it last week. Newcastle's defence against Man City. They're patient. They know what to do. They follow their runners. They plug the gaps. Now, there's not many teams that do that. I actually think the defending in the Premier League on the main is pretty poor. But Newcastle do very well at that. Arsenal do. Liverpool do well at that. And City, obviously, they do well. For me, the big question is going to be, when we play the Arsenal and the Newcastle, that's where we struggle to create really clear-cut chances. Yes, we had chances, but a lot of scrappy shots, blocks. Can we do that? Can we dominate in terms of those big chances against those teams? And so far, yes, the Brentford, who I expect to against Brentford. Man United, look, I actually had the game down as a draw, so it was a great result. Yeah. But Man United are a team in disarray at the moment. They're all over the place. So when we play Villa, who are well organised, when we play, and we saw how well organised they were against Bayern Munich the other night. When we play Man City, when we play teams like Arsenal, when we go to Liverpool, when we play Chelsea, who are flying, these are the games where I want to see. Let's not be flat track bullies, and that's fine. You've got to beat those lesser teams, but that's the tipping point for me. I want us to play some of the bigger teams, and I want to see this football beat some of the bigger teams.
I agree. The only thing I would say, just to give you as a little bit, I mean, you don't need any encouraging, is the fact that we made the kind of changes with our wing backs after those games. Yeah. So I do look forward to playing City, who I now call Plymouth Argyle. I do look forward to playing Chelsea because we know.
Why do you call City Plymouth Argyle?
Well, I call City Plymouth Argyle simply because their Saudi owners, closed their eyes and they did that, and on the map, and it just happened to be Man City. They could have easily have been Plymouth Argyle, who's winning the Premier League for the last 9 years.
We could have Wayne Rooney winning trebles as the Plymouth.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm calling them Plymouth. Do you know what I mean? Because they want to come here, shake their bums, tell me about heritage and how many trophies they won. The truth of the matter is, mate, anyone they would have bought, Colchester United, Salford, Wrexham, they would be top of the league right now, having Pep in charge if under those owners. So don't shake your bum like you are heritage. Anyway, and you see what I did there with the pun there with the heritage and the heritage channel.
I see it, mate. I heard it.
But yeah, so I do think I'm looking forward to it because Chelsea defensively is not as good. The one thing I would say, Savva, and you might think I'm a madman for this, I've always thought our defense is good, I think our back four is as good as any if they are 100% concentrated and on job. We need Romero to not have a lapse in concentration. And then I don't think we're far off Arsenal's back line. What's encouraging for me is we've only conceded 5.
Look, the defense for me is definitely a work in progress. My concern is still, if you watch these games, the number of times people get in behind us is a true worry. Now, in games like last night, in games like Karabag, in games like Brentford, I don't think these teams have got the players that are going to punish you. And I've always said that. The bigger clubs have the players that will punish that. So for me, the defence for me, yeah, it's been a lot better this season. I still think there's massive moments of a lapse of concentration. Teams are still getting in behind us. That will work on that. That will get ironed out, hopefully. Again, I'm going to judge that when we've played Diaz, Jota, and Salah. I'm going to judge that when we've played Cole Palmer, Neto, Felix.
What did you think? But just quickly, Savva, on that point, what did you think of our defensive display against Arsenal? Because I actually thought we were comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think in the main it was good. Look, we saw the Arsenal tactic, right? The Arsenal tactic was very much they're going to sit in, they know our weakness, they're going to try and counterattack. Now, they didn't score via the counterattack, but they bloody well should have. Let's be brutally honest. A couple of times when Saka not Saka, Martinelli.
Yeah, that was just that one chance. Yeah,
right. So for me, I thought it was better. I think the difference is City, Liverpool, Chelsea. These teams won't sit in. That's what I want to see. When the game is a bit more open, that's what I want to see. So I'm not knocking it. Listen, baby.
No, 100%.
Baby steps. I like what I'm seeing. I like that he stopped the inverting massively. I still worry. I still worry that Udogie and Porro get caught out. Whether or not I'm putting that blame on them versus the tactics is that's a different conversation. I do, however, and I don't know if you agree or disagree with this, Deji. I do feel that we're a Mickey van der Ven injury away from that defence. Europa League, fine. But against the better teams, we're a Mickey van der Ven injury away from that defence not working.
Yes.
Sorry, I know people love Romero. For me, Mickey van der Ven is the one that holds that together for so many reasons.
I think we can say this. Mickey van der Ven, at the trajectory that he's going, he's got the potential to be world class. You know, he's someone you can see at Man City, you can see him at Madrid. He's that bloody good. And I mean, people talk about Romero being the best defender at Spurs. I've been saying, no, the best defender at Spurs is Van der Ven, because any team in world football will take Van der Ven off our hands right now. He's that good. And that's why I was worried. I thought I saw him limping in the Karabag game. And I thought, oh, no, especially when we went down to 10 men. Yeah. No, look, I agree. He is the linchpin. What we need, though, is cover. We need someone who's just as good. Or, you know, I thought having a Mark Guy from Palace as potential cover for Van der Ven, that makes sense. Maybe not the same type of player, but credible, solid, and can do a job. But yeah, he brings a je ne sais quoi. And if you're going to go on and finish in the top four, you need about 3 or 4 players with that je ne sais quoi to bring it home. And Van der Ven is one of them. Madders is one. I think, Solanke has the, Kulusevski, if he can start to put the ball at the back of the net, he could be the other player.
If he continues doing what he's doing, absolutely. Listen, I'll leave it on this so that we 60 seconds to end it, bang on 40 minutes. Listen, Mickey van der Ven for me, that's the key. If Mickey van der Ven were to get an injury, and touch wood, he doesn't, but this boy plays a lot. He looks tired when he comes off because of the amount of covering he's doing. Every time he stretches for the ball, let's be fair, we all go, oh no. If he gets an injury, that is when I will truly worry. But again, that's when we'll see what does Ange do to mix it up. But look, Deji, just quickly before we end the show, give me you're sticking with third as an overall prediction.
I am indeed.
Okay, cool, good. I hope you're right. And Brighton before the dreaded international break, which I think, first of all, as a football fan, I hate. Secondly, as a YouTuber, I absolutely hate how dead it gets. Brighton away, they've only lost 1 game, but they've drawn 3 of the last 4, and they play a very, very high line. Wow. I'm expecting lots of goals. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I watched Brighton against Arsenal, and what the Van Heck was inside Arsenal's half as the only sole defender. And if you do that against Spurs, you're going to get lamped. So for me, and actually, I thought when we lost 4-2 to Brighton last season, I think Veliz scored, Richarlison. We didn't play too bad. We just had so many big players out, we couldn't get a result. I expect Tottenham to beat Brighton this weekend. And I think if we do, it would. I think it starts to. I think the Brighton game answers a lot more of your questions than the Villa game, to be honest, because of the way that they play. Their wingers are so deadly. Mitoma, Dringa, you know, they got the movement, they got the high line. Yeah. So we're going to learn a lot about our club this weekend. I just think possession-wise, we've been good. Every team we've played, whether they've given it to us or not, I can't see Brighton taking the ball from us. I think we've come to know that. I think even Brighton will concede possession to Spurs this weekend, and I think we lamp them 3-1, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a win. I think purely because look, we have got some confidence flowing through us. Listen, they don't lose many games, but they're not winning many games either. I think a lot of it will lean on whether or not Van Heck plays or not. I think if they play Blunt and Webster, that's, I think that's asking for trouble. Van Heck, I actually think is a really good footballer. I think he's a really good player. But look, we'll see. Brighton are capable of playing some great stuff. They're capable of scoring goals. Do they end their bad run at home? Do we compile? There's a lot of question marks. I do think we'll get the win. I'm going to go with another 2-1 win. But it wouldn't surprise me if the game ended up 4-3. You know what I mean? I feel like...
no, I hear you. I hope we get the win. For me, it would be nice to go into the international break. And actually, no disrespect, I know West Ham can be a bogey team, but if you're going to come back from an international break, that's the sort of team that you want to be playing, because they're truly in the mud. So we have the opportunity here. Yeah. What I wouldn't have wanted is to come back from an international break and be playing Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference. So.
For sure. And I think the key thing here is if someone like yourself who's talking about finishing third, you can't slip up too many times a season. If you're going to finish in the third, fourth place, and again, it's really important we beat Brighton because you don't want to lose touch with Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal. The moment that gap gets to 6, 7, now you're looking at, hang on, they've got to drop 3 games. So it's really important. Win that. We're right up there with them all. I'm going to go for the win. Deji's going for the win. Let us know in the chat what you think. I am going to put Deji's link into the bio for the show, and I'll also be in the comments when this premieres. Please do get over there, show some love, subscribe. Whether or not you agree with everything Deji says or another YouTuber says or I say, listen, I think it's really important to get a flavour of everybody's feelings and just show some bloody love. We're all Spurs fans.
And also, just to say, Savva, you know what? When I listen to you speak, I respect it, man, and big up to you, and thank you for inviting me. At the end of the day, we are here because we want to see our team progress and to do what we know that the club should be doing and is capable of doing. And actually, I see some of the comments and some of the things that you say. I see it as a challenge. I literally said, if Ange doesn't win all 3 games, I would run him out. It was a challenge. He rose to the challenge. I said the same about Brennan Johnson. I said Brennan needed to step up and start doing what we need him to do. He's done it. He switched off his Instagram. He's put his head down. He's got focused, and now we're seeing 5 goals in 5. That's what we want. Now we're happy. We're happier. So for me, I'm not afraid of people setting a challenge. The big challenge now for Spurs is, can they finish third or even higher, or are they gonna look? For me, if they finish 7th, it's not a challenge. 7th should be standard for our club, to be honest with you. Agreed. What the challenge is, can we go one step further? Can we finish in the top 3? And why not? Let's aim for the stars. I don't see why not, and see where we fall.
No, listen, I love that. I think, you know what, I love how positive you are about it. Listen, I've been scarred so many times that I think my body's just incapable of getting there as quickly as you do. Look, what I would say is this, and I'll say this to everyone in the chat as well. Listen, Deji's talking about setting challenges. I'm going to set a challenge. How about every time Spurs win a game, people don't go on at Spurs YouTubers who may have doubted a player or a manager and see it as a way to target them? To be honest, Deji, it's getting very draining for me. Every time Spurs win a game, it's like I'm not a Spurs fan because of the abuse that I get from it. And I said this to someone the other day, I want Spurs to win a trophy more than anything, Deji. It's been 16, it will be 17 years by the time the next trophies are awarded. I'm almost dreading winning one as much as I want to win one, because I don't feel as a fan base we're capable of all putting our differences aside and celebrating it for a trophy. I think what will happen, knowing our fan base, is rather than celebrating it, we'll have so many people that their first thought isn't, yes, my team won a trophy. It will be, oh my God, this person didn't like Postecoglou. This person said we couldn't win. This fan base is crazy, man. This fan base is crazy.
Well, the truth is, the truth is, and I think I made that comment before. I think it was, we don't know. Nobody knows. What we do have is we hope. Yeah, Pochettino, which I think is the greatest years I've seen as a Spurs fan. We never knew when we brought Pochettino in he could take us top 4. We never knew we were going to get to a Champions League final with Pochettino. No, we never knew we were going to finish second in the Prem. I mean, come on. What we're saying is we don't know, but we are hoping. And I'm saying from the little that I've seen of Postecoglou, I'm believing and hoping that he can do one better than Pochettino. And I think from the football that I've seen, what he's trying to implement, and even just from a basic perspective, Savva, I hated watching Spurs under Conte and Mourinho. Yes, we were getting results sometimes. Yes, we were top of the league at a stage. Yes, we got Champions League and we pipped Arsenal to it. But I was bored. I can't lie. I was so bored. We went away from Tottenham, who play entertaining football. And whether we like it or not, whether we win or not, I prefer the way that we're playing. And I'm enjoying watching us play. And for that, I'm very, very grateful.
You know what? Listen, absolutely everyone has got the right to that opinion. And listen, I do agree with most of that. I wasn't so much against Jose, didn't like Conte's style at all. A little bit of me has a lot of sympathy and empathy with them. They didn't get the players they need. But listen, we could be there all day talking about that. Listen, please get over, subscribe to Deji. Let's hope that Deji is a lot more correct than I am for all of our sakes. Let's hope that we're not sitting here 7th with no trophy in May. Deji, thanks for your time. Appreciate that. And please go over to Deji's channel and show some love. Take care, everyone. I'll be back on. I'm going to have a day off tomorrow. I need one day off a week from the crazy world of YouTube and the abuse. I'll be back on Sunday for a watch along of Tottenham away at Brighton. And the last thing I have to say, come on.
You Spurs.